Hey, it's the Power Linguist, just back from the mountain jungles here during monsoon season. And I want to talk to everybody out there about something that happened in the linguophile zone or the polyglots. So they like to be called polyglots, but really linguophiles. And this happens to have taken place between Finnish practice, who's Nelson, a guy who's a Portuguese guy living in Spain, who I'll talk about in a minute, but versus Richard Simcot, well known, his iconic look. You can spot him pretty far away. And the factor is this. Uh, Nelson is a guy who speaks Portuguese natively, obviously, Spanish uh, like a native. He lives there. He's married to a Spanish woman, obviously, and he when I've talked, he's really good, and as he says, he's enamored with learning Finnish and about 90 other languages that he's after. I don't know why, but that's what he likes to do. Um, so we got on one hand Nelson, and I think he's a guy that's around about, I don't know, I think he's around 60 kilos or something like that. But he goes to the gym 4 times a week versus Richard Simcott, who I'm pretty sure is more like around 80 kilos and doesn't go to the gym. But they want to do battle in the intellectual realm. And this is what's strange because Nelson is a real admirer of a lot of these guys, and he's felt disenfranchised by the fact that they have left behind what made them, the grassroots thing, and now just tried to go off and make money, which is what I said they're all up to begin with any damn way. And that's why I called them out on that, because, be up front with it, and Benny was not up front with it. And these guys who are going off and making, Richard Simcott is not making his bulk of his money that way, but I bet he'd like to, wouldn't he? Wouldn't he? Yeah, he would. Um, so the point being is that Nelson asked some questions, like why don't they answer certain questions that have to do with language learning, and why do they only give out tips and they don't actually talk about the actual process that they go through to learn languages, although each one of them has a different process. And of course, most of them are trying to sell this or their version of what they think a methodology is. But it's just them selling what they do, not applying it to different types of learner. This is where I'm going to shoot on tangents because they're apropos to what I'm talking about. And this is the factor that none of these people they don't have education degrees. They're not certified teachers. They don't know about teaching different learning styles. They don't know about all the intricacies of actually dealing with large student populations or whatever. And anyway, so Nelson poignantly asked people like Luca to respond, Richard to respond, Benny to respond, and Steve Kaufman to respond. Of course, we know Steve Kaufman can't respond. And Nelson sort of challenged any of those guys to match him in Spanish, which they won't be able to do. But the point is, what happened was, of course, there were no responses, and then suddenly Richard Simcott responded in a very strange way, which is that he started threatening Nelson with legal action, which isn't going to really happen. Good luck on that. I think that people need to take a look at that. He thought his character is being denigrated. I don't know how your character is being denigrated if you're not answering questions. That's up to you, Richard. You can answer questions, you cannot answer questions, but you're out there and you're going to be critiqued on how you're viewed by people, and you're not going to be. It's not the sycophantic, old boys club that Moses wants to promote. It's not like that in the real world out here. And people are going to ask you if they thought that you started out as someone who was giving out information about your process, and then suddenly you no longer care about that, and you're trying to set up large polyglot pseudoscientific bullshit conventions. I'll call you guys on that stuff, because you guys, it's horrible. And Anthony, I'll throw you in there because you should know that's the fluent Czech. That you should know none of that stuff meets any sort of qualifications for anything scientific whatsoever. Um, and it seems that's the bent because the linguophile zone, and they're not really a community, as I've mentioned before, they want to go down this anti-intellectual path because that way they're all equal because they have no credentials, they have no education, they have no background in any of these things, they can't cite evidence. This whole thing empirical, and they don't like me. These people call me names all day long. They write, stupid things. Of course, it's always only the people with no names and no photos because they're just scared, basically shitless of me, as they should be. As I asked them to come talk to me in person about it, I don't see the people showing up. You know what I mean? Anyway, so the point is with the Nelson versus Richard Simcot thing is that Richard Simcot somehow took this as a giant blow to his character, and that his life was going to be ruined somehow by Nelson asking him questions and saying to him, "You're a big fish in the polyglot community, and why are you now sold out?" Which is what people do with the musicians too. People ask musicians, "Hey, you sold out." And instead of coming back with, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm doing things now, he just went on this, "You take your stuff down now, or I'm going to go after you. I'm going to have people go after you." Really, I don't think the company you work for, Richard, is going to invest any money in a case that they cannot win or cannot prove. Number one, you're going to have to prove that your character was defamed, that you lost something out of it. And in the West, impossible. Good luck, brother, good luck. So I really don't know why Nelson took his stuff down, basically. He took down the videos that have to do dealing with this. But I think it's important because this all points out sort of the Greek drama going on with the linguophile community, and I'm probably the only one who has the guts to talk about any of it that I know about. It just sort of shows the incestuous turf fighting that's going on of these people trying to carve out of the same marketplace of the, I would call them the very strange language learners who are non-functional types who, I don't know, want to seem impressive by going after a lot of languages and want to hang around other people that do that. So that's a very small niche market in the entire world of everything. And it's not scientific. The pseudo-scientific demeanor that they're trying to come across with is actually it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And the fact that now accusations fly back and forth between "you're ruining my character, I didn't ever do anything," but you're out there trying to make money, and the fact is that you're always going to get people who don't like you. That's just the way it is, And if you can't deal with that, it's just not going to be sugar and kindness and light and everything else out there. It's an adversarial world and everything. Everyone's competing for everything. And that's what they're kind of getting upset about, is the fact that they're trying to compete to get a part of the market share, as I said, and they're all out there trying to do it. Every single one of them. That's what I said from day one. These people, they're slow in admitting this. And that's what Nelson called them on. He's like, Benny wants to charge $249 an hour to talk to him Skype. Are you kidding me? Benny, there are people who save lives who don't make that an hour, and you're not doing jack shit in that hour, believe me. And then he said that Luca's charging 40 euros an hour, and you have to buy a 5-hour slot. And that was, he thought that was a little much for his background, which it might be. And of course, nobody's forcing anyone to take these or pay these prices. Of course, they're not. But the factor that these guys are out here compared to people who have got credentials, who've been doing it, that are not on YouTube, because YouTube's just become this flash phenomena thing, because now they can become somebody without actually having to go through the hard work to become somebody with credentials and paying the dues. And they're no Michelle Thomas, you know what I mean? They're no Paul Pimsleur. They're not Asher. They're none of these guys who've actually done things in the past and have replicated that success in many, many people and in different government organizations. This is why Kaufman, keeps wanting to run down anybody else, because he can't get that market. He'd love to get that market because that'd be big money for him. So I'm throwing all this in because it all factors in this sort of psychological battle that we got going on. Anyway, so I would like to see that Nelson wouldn't take his stuff down just because Richard came across, and I guess that would be the definition of cyberbullying, wouldn't it now be these days? Isn't that what you guys call it? Although, you know, I take a lot of that every day. I think the difference is I call people out on it. Come on, here I am, you know. Let's see what you got. Unless your evidence, you know, whichever way you want to go with it. The factor is I'd like to see Nelson take that too and stand on his stand up for himself, show integrity. He's got the spine of using his real name and talking about things other people don't want to talk about. He's a real aficionado, so you got to give him credit there. You know, he idolizes some of these guys. I wouldn't. You know, I mean, what the hell for? Be yourself, be the best you can be, you know, aspire to be something greater in a different way, not just you know, don't be an Elvis imitator. That's the point here. So you had this battle, and Richard didn't have anything to complain about, in my view, and I don't think the legal department would say he had much to, you know, go on either. He just threatened, you know, so you know, threats are, you know, come on with the threat stuff. So I would clue everybody in that it's not all peaches and cream and honeysuckle rose and all this other crap sayings they throw around. And so it's the power linguists here in the northern mountain jungles, and letting you know the real deal, because I'm not scared of saying it. So real name, real photo to post. And what do you think about the battle? What do you think about this? Should Richard be able to censor Nelson via threats? Or should Nelson have the right to his opinion and being able to express that? And they, as people who want to be in the limelight, can live with that or not live with it. Which way do you want to go with it? All right, be waiting for your responses. See you later.